And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now we are switching live to San Sebastian to meet our CLC Director for the Western region, Mr. Antoni Pijoan. Hi, Tony.
Hi, Hannes. Good afternoon.
Tony holds degrees in physics, industrial engineering, as well as an MBA. He worked internationally in Spain, France, UK, Germany, and the United States, working in roles like division manager and international director for sustainable development. In January 2019, Tony took on the role of interim business creation director at the recently then created EIT Manufacturing. A few months later, in July of 2019, he filled the role for the interim CLC West director position, becoming his permanent position last year. So Tony, you are one of the few management team members left that were in the very beginning at the EIT Manufacturing startup, so to speak. Can you tell us a little bit about how that worked, building this consortium and then following the application process for becoming an EIT knowledge and innovation community?
Sure, absolutely. But Hannes, before I start, I just would like to apologize if I have any problem during my presentation, because today is our first day in the new location for CLC West in the Palacio Miramar. That's for those who could participate on the matchmaking event 2019. This is precisely the same building, and we're very honored that the city of San Sebastian has allowed us to be relocating into this magnificent building. So again, I apologize if because we're still testing the connections. So if there is any problem in the meanwhile, my apologies. So once this said, the good thing about the EIT Manufacturing, on the contrary to some of the other kicks, is that our journey started a long time ago. And I would say that it all got initiated with Manufuture. Manufuture, it's a think tank that was created a few years ago for those entities with a real interest in manufacturing, very interested in working on innovation and trying to find out good opportunities to foster the ecosystem within Europe. Just as an example, Manufuture is the same organization that is behind the scenes of the PPP Factories of the Future, or EFRA. It's the Research Association. So it's precisely the same thing. I'm saying this because this is just to give you an explanation that our, let's say, network has a long history behind the scenes. It was not just created because of EIT Manufacturing. As a matter of fact, back in 2010, when EIT was created, Manufuture already existed, and we were those who proposed EIT, that manufacturing should be one of the themes that should be in the portfolio of the 8 different communities to be created. So with this in mind, we've been working with them because at the very beginning, the calls were very open, but then it was after the second round of calls, or even the third round of calls, that the calls were very specific on the different topics. And our aim was in 2016, actually, there was open a call for establishing the kick on manufacturing. And at that time, we presented a very nice, I would say, a proposal with all those components from manufacturing integrated in the proposal. The only thing is that since let's say the major actors in manufacturing in Europe were behind this proposal, there was not even a competitor. And that together with the fact that it was our first trial and we did not know that much about EIT and the main focus, unfortunately our proposal was not approved. But then back 3 years ago already, in 2018, there was a new call, because since that was part of the strategy on EIT, and at that time, our former proposal, part of the partnership, was split. And there were, I think it was 4 different proposals that competed to win this race. And unfortunately, after the different stages, we were the ones that successfully got our kick approved. I would say that from the 2016, there was lots of lessons learned, and that's what makes our proposal improving a lot. And one of the things I would say, was probably the claim. Our proposal was under the umbrella of made by Europe, and that's what we wanted to strengthen. Not to say especially because today we are talking a lot on manufacturing, not to say how important is manufacturing nowadays, especially in Europe. But our focus was not to retain all manufacturing in Europe, but to make Europe the leader in terms of innovation, to find solutions, to sponsor the new developments, and that's why we came out with this logo. That together with refurbishment on the proposal made this proposal now a second stage very successful.
Very good. Interesting history behind there. I can imagine there were many meetings back then in the old days, so to speak, meeting face to face everywhere in Europe. And then obviously getting the final approval by EIT in, I think, 2018, right?
Yes, correct.
So we started out in 2019. We had our first year of operation, so to speak, last year. And we were immediately impacted by the coronavirus, and I just want to let all the viewers know that I mean, we CLC directors are working, I would say, perfectly together, considering that we have never met before in person. None of the other CLC directors I've ever seen face to face, only through video conferencing, and I think it's an amazing experience. How we were able to create that kind of fellowship here and working together.
And actually, I just would like to also express in this sense, because you're perfectly right. As you said, most of the team members on EIT Manufacturing, we have never seen each other. Well,
right.
I'm one of the lucky ones that have seen part of the team before. But not only this, but also we were able. Don't forget that we are an association and we have lots of members behind the scenes, and we have not been able to meet in person for more than a year now, which, as an association, that makes it even more difficult. So that's why for me, the most interesting and relevance on this community is that most of the members, we knew each other from a long time ago. So the trust was already there. We did not have to build something. So
yes, absolutely.
Makes us
so it's the EIT members that, we have not seen, I have not seen. It's many of my partners I have never met in person. Now I'm lucky insofar as I have two members here in Vienna, and I have obviously seen them, Theo Wien and Athos, but none of the others face to face. And in my particular area, I have 11 risk countries, and many of them have hubs. And they have very good hubs, and they have hubs that are working, perfectly together with us and are supporting us in the local areas of their ecosystems. But I have never been there. I have never seen them face to face. So it's gonna be good when this thing is over and we finally can travel again, Tony. And the first thing that I want to do is go down to San Sebastian and meet with you.
Sure, you're welcome to come here. You and the rest of the CLC's team, absolutely, yes.
Great. Tony, tell us a little bit about the current scene of the startup scene, the scale-up scene in your countries. I mean, with Spain and Portugal, you have two risk countries there. Did COVID have any impact, or do you see already flaring new developments, new ideas, new innovations that gonna end up in startups and scale-ups?
Yeah, I have to admit that I'm so honored to lead one very proactive CLC. As you know, we just closed our call for proposals last Friday, and I just went quickly through some numbers this morning, and I noticed that at least 25% of proposals were led by CLC West partners. So that also, I'm very happy to see that. On spite of the current situation, our members are very, very proactive. Of course, it's very early, I would say, to analyze from an economic point of view what's going to be, let's say, in the midterm. In the short term, definitely for all Europe, it has been devastating time this past year and a half. But I don't know in the midterm if we will be able to recover fast or not. That's something that with time we will see. I've heard lots of different, of course, one unfortunately sad story is that on CLC West we host very big important partners on aerospace, and as you know, aeronautics has been one of the most unfortunately impacted areas on manufacturing. But then there are others for like distribution and other topics that they saw these pandemics as an opportunity. So there's some different stories depending on which industry we are talking to. I don't have specifically, let's say, details per country level. As you said, we are covering Portugal, we cover Spain as risk countries, but also we cover France, which is one of the most very, very powerful countries in manufacturing in Europe. But it's very hard to find out a generic or specific per country level situation.
Sure, sure. Interesting. So what are your main industries down there in Spain and Portugal?
Mm-hmm. Specifically in Spain and Portugal, we have some automotive, we have some, let's say, aerospace. We do have also some, let's say, we even have some big companies like Sonai that has very various lines of productions. It's not specifically in one domain. They also cover some food processing. They cover some textile. So they have lots of varieties. So we also have some big corporates in Spain and Portugal specifically.
Very interesting. Well, thank you so much, Tony, for joining us and giving us a little bit of background of the EIT Manufacturing birth hour and the development right after that. Really interesting to many of our folks. And hopefully I'm going to see you at the wrap-up at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I'll be over there. And as we always say, let's just keep pushing to make this European manufacturing wave stronger and stronger again.
We will. Thank you, Tony. See you later.